Hi there. So today my team wanted me to do a video on the topic. We rebranded a 10-year-old business in 30 days. Here's what happened. Well, think about the topic and I actually came up with the answer nothing much. It only led to internal chaos, more confusion, communication gaps. So my first impression was I do not want to do this video. But then, aren't we living in the age of hooks where people want to create a curiosity, interest level, or an attraction around the hook that they introduce through a video topic? Nevertheless, I understood the point and I do have rebranding cases that I would like to discuss with you. But before that, I actually wondered, why will an agency or a business would like to create a case study or a rebranding case in real world where they are leading to such a hook? A rebranding in 30 days would only mean maybe a design edit, introduction to the color palette, or followed by a quick launch. Would you be interested in that kind of a rebranding? Will it really help you understand anything more about the business, the brand, the competition gaps or the lags? I fear no. And that is why I decided that today we will talk about rebranding. And there was another reason, because yesterday I had a meeting where one of the creative head, a business head in the creative stream for a manufacturing industry, reached out to me, came up with certain references which were all international brands into Italian marble and the like, and they shared their Instagram links, their websites, came up with their own existing website and told me, do you think we need to rebrand? That's what struck me when my team gave me this topic for this YouTube video. Why? Because that is the gap, how rebranding is being sold in a very, very wrong manner. Also, a lot of times founders believe that maybe a rebranding is the magic wand that their business needs to solve everything that is actually required to disrupt the business growth. On the contrary, when we discussed their brand in detail, when I understood what is it that the founder is seeking at the moment, and when I studied all the references that they had come up with, I realized that it is not rebranding that their business needs at the moment, but their business needed more than that, which was a foundational correction at the brand level. They needed a lot of alignment with their brand messaging, their brand positioning before they jump onto brand outreach and marketing plan. A lot of marketing campaigns which will categorically, and I can say very confidently, that which will solve their business concerns at the moment. The one concern that they came to us with was they wanted to develop brand awareness, multiply the outreach with the single focused goal of targeted outreach that can help them 3x their business revenue. So when you know that clarity, why there is a confusion that maybe your business needs rebranding? That's because the narrative around rebranding is sold in a very negative way. Coming to the rebranding plans, which we definitely did not achieve in 30 days, but we took more time, and let me discuss in detail how and when we can assess that your business really needs rebranding. Now, to talk more about the rebranding and how as a founder or a business owner or as a CMO you can take a call that your business needs rebranding. One is a 2-decade-old technology company, an MNC operating in multiple continents of the world and successfully driving and thriving the business for good 20 plus years, came to us for a detailed brand audit. The great part was an informed marketing team realizes that sometimes it is not the marketing alignment that is missing in the business functions, but maybe it is something more. And that is how they reached out to me asking for a detailed brand audit. So the detailed diagnosis and the brand audit, which revolved around their external brand audit, which was more about the brand messaging, how they have been communicating externally, and a little bit of the internal probing in terms of the kind of emails they were sending, the kinds of brand collaterals they were sending, what is the kind of sales conversations they are having. So we actually deep dived into a lot of details which were internal and external, and then we realized that the business needs a lot of strategic clarity before we actually take a call whether it is more about branding or it is more about polishing their marketing campaigns, or there is something else that is missing in the overall brand communication strategy. What did we do? We finished the brand audit and we asked them that we would need to get into detailed stakeholder interviews, because at that level I know that it is not something that we can actually resolve with just the marketing team, but we need a lot of strategic intervention with the founding teams. It can be the CEO, COO, and a lot of times CMO also, if your business has one. So that's where the entire strategic clarity drive started. We worked on, the brand story brand framework, which is the framework I use primarily for branding or rebranding projects. So we actually created that for them. We worked on their core offerings. So there was a lot of thought process that went into the service design edit, because what you are talking to me is not how you are talking to your customers, and that was the biggest gap that their entire brand communication had, and that was a big insight which they could relate to me, because when they were talking to me they were saying something else, but when I was looking at their brand communication, their brand collaterals, they were all talking something else in totality. So there was a huge gap, and that is the gap that rebranding always fills. When the leaders realize that what got you here will not get you there, that is the time when a business needs rebranding, and that's exactly what we did here. So we started with strategic clarity. So here, like I said, rebranding is not always a design edit. So we worked on the positioning and messaging. That means we had a very clear tagline relaunch. We wanted to position ourselves differently, and trust me, it was not a 30 days thing like our subject here. It took us good 6 months of discussions, revisiting, actually working on the positioning statement, why of that positioning statement, what story brand framework brings the hero and the guide positioning there. So we worked and discussed for weeks on that, and that's how we got the new positioning. After the positioning, we knew that we need to work on the second important thing, which is the service offerings. So we revisited the service offerings. They were carved and designed as per their customer of today and the customer of tomorrow, because that huge gap was the biggest intervention that the founding team and the leaders had, because where you want to take the business tomorrow should reflect in how your business is communicating today. And that's when we realized that what worked for last 20 years for their business is not going to work for the next 5 years goals for their business, which were clearly communicated that we want to 5x our business. That's when you know that your business needs rebranding. And we redesigned the core offering that actually led to more evolvement of lot of other aspects that are important for any business which is traveling from a growth to maturity stage, because you have challenges not just related to positioning, not just related to branding, not just related to the non-performing marketing campaigns, but you also deal with lot of insight which is about talent retention, talent management, recruitment, and that's where the positioning in their brand also led to EVP, which is employee value proposition, because when a business is traveling from a growth to maturity stage, one important aspect, or I would say the most important aspect that businesses keep on ignoring is people. And for people, you need employer branding. So we traveled through that rebranding at external level, internal level, and that is how we had a clear cut goal and clear cut messaging that we delivered to their marketing team to take it up from there. So that's how rebranding done, and that is why I say that any rebranding project, when done in 30 days or less, trust me, it is going to be just the design or the aesthetic edit and nothing as core rebranding work.